top of the world, about to jump above it. Take it straight to the moon, 'cause we know how to rock it. Ain't no thing you can do, ain't no way to stop it. Now you're feeling it too. Let's get it started. Throw your hands in the air while the beat is dropping. Acting like you don't care when everybody's watching. Just keep whipping your hair like that, you got it. Yeah, you're feeling it too. Let's get it started. I'm ready, ready. Let's get it, get it. I'm ready, ready. Are you ready, ready? Let's get it started. Charts off the meter, turn it up, blow the speakers, make them more to believers, break through the surface, tell them open the curtains, give them all what they wanted, yeah, now let's get started. I'm ready, let's get it, get it. Yeah, I'm ready, ready, are you ready, ready? I'm ready, let's get it started. Yeah, yeah, I'm ready, ready. Let's get it, get it. I'm ready, ready. Are you ready, ready? Let's get it started. Let's get it started. Let's get it, get it. Let's get it started. Let's get it started. Let's get it. Yeah. Give me something new. Time to break it loose. Take it to another level. Now we on the move. Shout if you coming with me. Going over the limit. On your mark, keep it steady. So tell me, are you ready? I'm ready, ready. Let's get it, get it. I'm ready, ready. Are you ready, ready? Let's get it started.
Nolan, you there?
Hello, one and
good
all,
evening,
and
race
welcome
fan.
to the North American Sim Racing Association here at the Talladega Super Speedway. Round number 6 about to get underway from us at what is the biggest and baddest track on the NASCAR calendar. Hello, one and all. My name is Nolan Rempo with John Mustian Jr. beside me in the broadcast booth, and one Charles Wooten down behind the cameras for tonight's presentation here on LSRTV. Well, John, we come off of what was a very exciting start to the Super Speedway season over just 1 week ago at the Daytona International Speedway, where we went racing in the trucks after making that swap over. Well, it's time for a bit of another swap in 2 different areas for the course of tonight. The first is that of the car. We are racing not in the Gander Outdoor trucks this time around, but it is in the Chevrolet Impala for the ARCA series, and that is, of course, going to provide a lot of very exciting action for us here tonight. I can tell you right now, these cars, they do not handle at all like the Gen 6 or even the trucks do nowadays. They are a completely different beast to behold altogether, and I think one of the biggest stories over the course of the night is going to be how difficult it is to get those bumpers to hook up with each other.
You know, I was going to touch on that as soon as you gave me a chance. You're exactly right there, Nolan. These cars do not bump draft at all very well on here. You have to be dead on with your contact or you will be dead. I mean, we've seen it time and time again. And what's crazy is it's very realistic. I don't know if you remember back in the day when these model cars were the actual cup cars the boys drove in NASCAR, but you didn't see a whole lot of actual bump drafting at the super speedways. They would just get close enough to use that air bubble to do a little pushing, but that's about it. And I'm looking forward to this. This is Talladega, man. How does old Dale say that? It's Talladega, baby.
It most certainly is. It shares many characteristics of the Daytona International Speedway, except it is a little bit wider. The banking a little bit steeper, the length a little bit longer. All of that makes this track almost dwarf Daytona in comparison when you look at it. And, of course, we talk about some of the changes that are going to be taking place today. Among them, not just the cars, but a slight, shall we say, unplanned alteration in the actual method when it comes to figuring out how tonight's grid is going to line up. Usually right now we'd be in the middle of qualifying, right? But that is not the case tonight. There was a little bit of an oopsie when it came to setting up the session, so instead there is not going to be any qualifying. We are going to be going straight in to tonight's actual race here on LSRTV with an 80 lapper coming up for us, which means we're doing pill draw style gridding tonight here, John. Grids will be set randomly over how tonight's race is going to play out, and that is bound to throw a bit of a wrench in the works as well.
Well, I'll tell you, it's just like back in the old days when qualifying used to get rained out. Remember, they'd either draw or they would, run it on points. So that's really all we're doing here. We're just going retro with it.
We most certainly are, and of course, this could shake up the running order in a very big way. It could have guys that are very good at super speedway starting near the tail end of the field, which means we could be seeing a lot of very aggressive passes being made early on. It didn't take too long in the first race when this season switched over, which was, of course, for just the fifth round of the North American Sim Racing Association for us to get a big wreck. We'll have to see if it could be even sooner tonight, given how, shall we say, unstable these cars can be, because it's not just the bumpers that make this car difficult to work together in the draft. It's also how easy they are to get unsettled in dirty air.
Absolutely. These are the most unstable vehicles when it comes to super speedway racing that you're going to see. They're fun to drive, don't get me wrong. And with the new damage model that iRacing put on these cars, it's really fun to watch. But here at Talladega, you touched on this earlier, this track, even though it's considered a super speedway just like Daytona is, it's a different beast than Daytona. You said it, it's wider, it's longer, steeper banking. This track allows a little bit more, I guess, error in judgment or error in driving than Daytona would. You've got a lot of room to catch it. This car, this particular vehicle on this track, Nolan, catching it is usually not what happens. You usually catch the air or the catch fence or the guy behind you 3 rows back, something like that.
We've mentioned, of course, how this track, we'll get into some of the differences about this track that make it that much more different when it comes to Daytona in just a moment, but as practice is getting wrapped up, it is time to take a rundown of your starting grid as we get this session clicked on over towards the race session. 123 degrees currently on the track. That's just clicking over to about 102 now as we switch over from practice to qualifying. Good news for those drivers as we now get set to go through your starting grid here from the Talladega Superspeedway. It is Victor Bartlett, the random and lucky driver, on pole position, and that is good news for him with how far he was in the practice sessions. That is going to put one Nicholas Sacco in second place, with Derek Fulton and Rhett Tucker, each drivers not making practice laps, starting third and fourth. Andrew McGronigal is going to be in fifth position, with Clinton Castleberry rounded out the sixth place on road number 3. Chris Cinnamon is seventh, with Christopher Blanchard going to be in that eighth position, and rounded out the top half of the field here on row number 5 here, John, will be Hunter Parsons and Jeremy Crandall.
Inside row 6, Nathan Roger, or how do you say that, Roger, right? 87 car is outside Adam Newbert in the 4 car. Row 7 inside is going to find Taylor Peacock in that 81 car. His outside J.R. Miller in the 78. Inside row 8, Darren Hallam in the 9 car. James D. Morris in the 47 car. His outside. Joshua McKinney inside row 9 in the number 8 car. His outside Raul Mason, that Mountain Dew number 37. And in row 10, rounding out your field, Derek Kilgore, the 23 car, and Torrey Thompson in the 88 car.
And that'll round out your starting grid here from the Talladega Super Speedway. Let's go over some of the things that make this track a little bit more different in comparison to Daytona, right? And I think the 2 biggest examples are, of course, the fact that this track is an extra lane wider than Daytona is. I think another big fact is the fact that it is 0.16 of a mile longer. There's still the banking differences as well, right? It is about 31 degrees across all corners at the Daytona International Speedway. And here at Talladega, it's not by much, right? 33 degrees in turns 1 and 2, even less, only 32.4 in turns 3 and 4. But even that, with all of those slight differences, that's still enough to make this track look like a real behemoth over that of Daytona. And I have to say, I think the width of the track is what really helps to sell the image, shall we say.
Absolutely agree with you on that, Nolan. And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not a plate track guy. I hate plate track racing. But if I'm going to do it, I would rather do it on Talladega because it's just so much bigger. There's so much more room to maneuver, and you're going to need that in this car. You've touched on it a couple of times. This car wiggles, it moves, it's all over the place. So I expect that we're going to see a very interesting, exciting race tonight.
Coming around through turns 3 and 4 this time by. One of the biggest differences, and it is decided many a finish at Talladega Superspeedway, is the location of start-finish. Not at the center of the tri-oval like it is at Daytona. It is right afterwards at the sprint out towards turn number 1. So many times have we seen drivers being edged out at the last possible foot because of where that finish line is. Do you think we could be seeing another one of those types of finishes here tonight?
Absolutely. It seems like we see it all the time. The guy that's leading come out of 4 right here where the pace car's ducking down the pit road sometimes and usually just is not the guy that crosses that finish line down there by turn 1.
The extra lane opens up for this field down through the tri-oval, and now from Talladega Superspeedway, it is going to be in the hands of Victor Bartlett as he takes this field to the green flag for the first time today.
Great start by everybody there. He didn't get a very big jump, and that's actually good news. If you get a big jump in these cars at a super speedway out there by yourself, 3 or 4 car lengths, you wind up getting ganged up on. And here we go, 3 wide already. I think that's by design right there, Noah. The 29 just kind of wants to go straight to the back of the field and stay out of all this mess.
Saka wanted no part of what was going on up in front, already making the move up to the top side. Very deliberate there for the 29 Chevy Impala. And one more driver down below the apron, Andrew McGronigle, looking to fade him back in this field. We fan out 2, 3 wide down this back straightaway into turn number 3, and Rhett Tucker currently leads the way from pole sitter Victor Bartlett. He got the drive around the outside line from turn number 2 to put that 99 machine up there in the front position of tonight's race. So coming around through the tri-oval, it will be Tucker to lead the opening lap, but already you see Clinton Castleberry looking to make a move for the lead on the outside.
You'll see that a lot tonight on the outside. Getting a great run, and unfortunately the guy that takes the lead away on that great run ducks down the inside and ditches everybody outside lane. Right now you'll see him backing up just a little bit, Nolan, right here. They'll lose a little bit of ground, maybe 1 or 2 car lengths, but man, if they stick together and stay committed to the outside lane, you'll see that thing move and move a lot forward in the race.
Really is amazing just how different 2 types of cars, stock cars, that can provide different types of racing when it comes to a super speedway like this. I mean, in the trucks, I can almost guarantee you we would already be seeing the second driver line on the outside lane, that of Christopher Blanchard, be trying to give the bumper to Clinton Castleberry to push him towards the front of this field. You really can't do that, though, with cars like these. The front nose so curved, and with how the rear bumper is profiled, the front splitter really just wants to slide underneath and pick up the back end of the car, which makes bump drafting oh so hazardous at a track like this. We ride on board with the number 7, it's Eric Fulton, looking at that good wrench Camaro. Monte Carlo trying to push up to the back. They're so used to seeing Camaro when it comes to talking about Chevrolets, right? You almost forget about the old Impalas I used to run the series, and those are the cars that we are ripping here tonight for 80 laps around the Talladega Super Speedway as Bartlett goes back to the race lead.
Bartlett takes that lead, kind of doing it the hard way there, trying to fight his way down to the inside there. But look at that outside lane. You were just talking about that. You really, really want to try to get right up there and push that guy in front of you, but these cars, you can't do it. You really can't, especially right here in the tri-oval, Nolan. This is where the car is at its lightest with no banking at all, really, to help stabilize it. And it's very loose right there. But you see that 6 car back there, man. He just really, and I think that's actually the 73 in timing. I'm not real sure, but he wants so bad to get up there and push, but he knows that if he does that, it could cause a massive accident.
And now looking to power through around the outside line, the number 8 car of Joshua McKinney is going to be moving outside line. His number 8 Chevrolet thinking about opening up a 3rd lane, but nobody is going to go with them. And so with that, we stay 2 rows deep. That 8 car, though, still trying to make some serious gains on the outside groove. And McKinney going to be going to try to make a move around the outside of Torrey Thompson to the 88. Along with Chris Cinnamon. I'll tell you what, John, that 8 car holding his own. He's actually going to make a pass up on the 88 car around the outside line. Who would have thought that these cars can give you some single car runs around that high side lane? I mean, I didn't think you'd be seeing something like that here, but That 8 car seemed to be pulling it off for the time being.
He's working on it, and you know what? The side draft really works great with these old ARCA car bodies, man. If you do it just right, you can actually get down in there and take a couple spots away from some guys. And he's got that 8 on his car. We all know the guy that drove the 8 in the Cup Series back in these days was a master at driving the Super Speedway Series.
Bartlett still holding point for the time being, but Clinton Castleberry wants to be the driver up there in the front. And look out for Josh McKinney, top side. That 8 car didn't make rounds as well as him. Corey Thompson trying to go with it, but he got into the outside wall. Coming out of turn number 4, and he'll lose some ground as a result. The 8 car going to be shuffled out to the back by J.R. Miller.
You know what? That 88 got really, really loose right there on the exit of that corner. But the way he's driving, it doesn't look like he let up at all right there. Nolan, he slides back in there in front of the 8 car. And McKinney just going to slide back in for now and maybe even down the inside line. Looks like he's going to tuck in right there behind the 37 of Raul Mesa in that Mountain Dew, Monte Carlo, or Impala, or whichever Chevy he chose.
And you can now see Castleberry going to the point of this race. And Bartlett holds second for the time being. I think he'll be content with that, though. Just save a little bit of fuel while you're running the back here. These guys are going to have to make one pit stop over the course of the night with 75% fuel tank limitations. And you can see up top, Jeremy Crandall. Looks like he wants to start to make some speed. And his number 6 Muscle Man, the Big Cup applesauce machine, ripping around the outside line with J.R. Miller's Oakley Monte Carlo. Right tucked in line behind, but again, nobody trying to put the bumper to anybody just yet, and it's a very wise move. We talk about the risk of trying to go over a bump track at a track like this with the profile that these cars have with the front and rear bumpers. And you mentioned, of course, earlier in the broadcast that if somebody gets a little gutsy with some of that speed, we might see that new damage model coming into play tonight. I will say it's not really new at this point, is it? It's been out for about a year already, if I'm not mistaken. So that being said, though, it still provides some rather great scenes when cars get airborne.
Absolutely. Now, it came out, you're right, a while back, and it caused a lot of issues with some of the servers and the hosted races and whatnot, so they took it off. A bunch of the cars, actually, not just the ARCA cars, but a lot of the cars in the service. They got it fixed back up and they put it back on, and it's just been fun to watch. It just adds so much more realism to the simulation. When you see a guy hit a wall and his tire goes one way and his hood for his, goes another way, and it's just really, really fun stuff. Now, as a driver, you don't find it very fun at all, especially because when they modeled it, Nolan, as you know, not only does it look like your tire flew off, but on the car it actually did. Sometimes you can't even drive the car back like you used to be able to. Back in the day, as long as your motor didn't blow, it didn't matter how much damage you had, you could drive it back. But now with this new damage model, if you lose a front tire or a back tire or something like that, you could have a very difficult time getting the car back to the garage to get it fixed.
Already over 10% of the way through this race. 70 laps still left to go. You see drivers starting to single file out on the inside lane. People are starting to settle into a little rhythm here, right? They're going to be trying to just keep themselves sorted, be nice and calm for the time being. And this is what we're going to be used to seeing, not just in this race, but it's going to be what we saw in the last race, as well as all the races going forward in this series. You are really going to have to just be patient. It's not a sprint, right? It is a marathon. No matter how fast you're running at a track like this, it is still very much a marathon. You're not going to get yourself anywhere but putting it 3-4 wide on lap 9 out of an 80-lap event. Best thing you can do is just tuck in line and just kind of run your own race. Just be aware of the guys around you as Bartlett thinking about going to the top shelf. Miller doesn't want to follow him, though. We're 3 wide for the race lead. Now 2 rows deep as McGronigle opts to go with the 78. What did I just say about not making moves 3-4 wide on the 10th lap of an 80-lap race?
That's why they do this, Nolan. I swear to you, I promise you. They've got to have somebody watching the broadcast, and they'll be, hey, the broadcaster just said you guys are being too safe, and then boom, you'll see stuff like this. But, we got real lucky right there, Nolan. I'm sure you noticed it, but there were a couple of cars that wanted to change lanes abruptly, not realizing that there was still a car out there, and luckily that other driver was able to check up before we had a calamity on hand. Look at that long line down on the inside. And then you got these 5 guys up on the top side trying to make something happen. But I really think they're probably going to need a couple more cars to do that.
But then again, you really can't bum draft with these cars. I mean, well, let me rephrase that. You can, but probably not for very long, and definitely not in the corners, or it's not going to end very pretty for either one of you. You're going to end up with a whole bunch of twisted sheet metal if you try to make an effort like that. But you can give a bit of a tap here or there for those very brief pushes, particularly down the back straightaway, which is where we could very well see a lot of these individual little moves being made, and that's where it's all going to come to a head, right? The most opportunities you're going to be seeing with drivers trying to push it 3 wide in the corners is just if they want to fall a little bit further to the back, because that is the easiest place to do it, right? Go to the high side in turns 1 or 3. Just lift off the gas and let the field breeze past you on the inside line, since they are taking that shorter line technically around the racetrack.
Yeah, the best way to describe proper drafting on here is to do just like we're looking back at Bartlett right now. We're looking back at Thompson, the 88 from Bartlett's car. And folks, no, your screen's not messed up. What we got here is a messed up paint job. You put the wrong model car up there. But anyway, what I'm saying is the trick with these cars, Nolan, is to get them as close as you can without actually touching that guy in front of you, so you don't mess him up and get him out of shape. But you don't want the gap to be too big. That's the hardest part, is you don't want to fall too far away from the car in front of you, because then you guys lose the effect of the draft bubble. And look at this, as we speak, you got Bartlett making his move on the outside. He's got a lot of help behind him now. He's got 4 cars, excuse me. I think he's just really going to need one more car back there to really give him the help he needs.
You mentioned that Torrey Thompson has got a bit of a wacky paint job, shall I say, on his machine. I wonder if that is almost a strategic thing, because if we get a shot where you can look at the back bumper, you'll see the tail light is out of alignment, right? Do you think maybe that is to confuse the guys behind him? Pull a fast one on you. He's going to make it so you don't know where exactly you can hit him on the bumper, so that you're less risky to do so, in which case you're not going to want to work with him too much, particularly on that last lap of the race, right? It's a strategy. So he's thinking big brain here. That's a 200 IQ play right there.
Absolutely, man. That guy in the Ford behind him, like, I don't know if I should touch his car now, because it looks like it might fall apart. No, I'll tell you what happened right there, Nolan. I guarantee you I know exactly what happened. I used to do it all the time. He went into the Trading Paint showroom and wanted to look for an Impala to get. But don't forget, iRacing had the B-car Impala for the Xfinity Series, which was called I can't remember what they were called back in the day, but they're the same car.
Cars.
This one was called an Impala. Yeah, thank you. And that other car was also called an Impala. And that's exactly what he did. He got the wrong car on there. Look, the headlights are way up on the hood. You see that? That's great.
Look out! Oh, 37 car down onto the apron. Raul Meza with a beautiful save through turn 4. He was given the bumper by Darian Halleman through turn 4. That unsettled 37 car. The 9 did let him back up in line, but that is where it all almost fell apart for your field. It did fall apart for Halleman as he has now started to slip a long way down the field. It almost had caution number 1, and I will say some beautiful driving on Raul Meza. You mentioned about how hard it is to save those cars earlier. Now, I haven't driven these cars a whole lot, right? I typically intended to stay as far away from these things as possible. I was more of a late model driver myself back when I did a lot of racing on iRacing, but I can tell you from experience, that's not an easy thing to catch, even when you're at that shallow of an angle.
Absolutely, and what happened, it looked like not only did he get a little tap, the tap got him below the yellow line, which really loosens this car up bad. And I tell you what, I love this car, Nolan. It's a fun car to drive, just not on super speedways, man. It's great at your cookie cutter tracks. It's really fun, like Charlotte, Texas, even at Darlington. I've had a blast driving this car, but man, I don't like super speedway racing in this car. It's just it takes so much focus. You cannot lose focus at all. We just saw that a minute ago. Somebody just for a second forgot he really shouldn't be touching the car in front of him going through a turn, and it almost wiped out a couple of cars. So, my hat's off to these boys. They're doing a fine job. We're 16, almost 17 laps in this race, Nolan. Caution free, knock on wood, and they're doing a great job out there. They really are.
You had to say that, right? Because you know they're going to wreck now. It'll be probably before lap 20. Oh, and they don't
look at that right there.
Oy, oy, oy. Castleberry and his, shall we say, suspect Ford Mustang livery, trying to push up to block the run for Bartlett. That almost ended in a complete disaster, though.
We've got 3 guys looking to make it 3 wide up top right now. That's going to leave guys like Bartlett and Thompson kind of stuck in the middle here. You don't want to be the car in the middle, especially in these ARCA cars, man. It's not a very comfortable place to be. The lack of air on the spoiler, because you have cars inside and outside, you make this car extremely unstable. Oh, what? Speaking of unstable, look at that guy back there in the cow car. You can't see what number he is. I guess I can tell you, it looks like a cow. He got really loose right there.
Believe it or not, those are all maple leaves on James D. Morris's machine that gives it that kind of very distinct look. No, you had to look a bit closer, but it is there. He actually got into the wall, though, entering turn number 3, which is why he got so unstable entering turn 3. Luckily, once again, beautiful driving in order to get that machine back under control. As you can see it, that'll give you a bit of an easier angle. Kind of spot the maple leaves on the roof of the car there and dotted all over the car. Yeah. I believe that's a Canadian company, which would give us a great representation there, as you can now see a whole bunch of cars checking up out of turn number 2. But it's getting a little bit hairy here for a lot of the drivers as Victor Bartlett checked up the field out of 2.
What's happening right now, Nolan, is we're not halfway, but 18 laps into this race. The fuel tanks are getting low, and that changes the handling on this car drastically. Not only that, the tires are starting to wear down. You saw the track tip at the top of the show, thanks to Cody's overlay there. 123 degrees. That's a slick track right there. So the longer we go on this run, the looser these cars are going to get, the more of this moving around you're going to see. And theoretically speaking, you might see 1 or 2 water-up race cars towards the end of the fuel run.
I mentioned before, when the graphic had been pulled up, it was up to 124 degrees Fahrenheit at that point. It's 122 now, but I mean, my goodness. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen Talladega Super Speedway with that hot of a track surface before, and that does not, it's bound to create some problems for a lot of these drivers that are just trying to, I think, keep things in check for the time being as we continue to advance our way deeper and deeper into this green flag run. And it's these little moments that tend to crop up, right? I mean, look at Castleberry getting trying to block Bartlett's run that didn't go over so well. Look at the 37 when he got tagged from behind that sent him down to the apron in turn 4 a little bit earlier. Every moment where something like that happens, you kind of roll the dice, right? You roll the dice that you're going to be able to hold it and you're not going to create a big pileup as a result. But sooner or later, the chance is going to favor the carnage.
Absolutely. And you can only, what's that old saying? You can only pull that pin on the grenade so many times that it's going to go off. Something like that. I don't know. I may just be talking out of my ears there.
Typically, that's only once.
But, yeah, no doubt. That's what I'm saying. I mean, you can only mess around here, once or twice, but eventually it's going to bite you. And when it bites you, it's going to bite you. It's going to bite the guy behind you, the guy to your outside, the guy to the inside. It's never pretty with these cars on super speedways. It doesn't just take one guy out, Nolan. It takes 4 or 5 of them.
And as we come around
out there right now.
Oh, absolutely. And we are, of course, just hit that 1/4 mark in this race. We're still running green flag. And I'm still surprised we've been seeing such a prominent outside lane on the course of this as well, right? I knew we would have this sort of when we were racing the trucks last week at Daytona. I did not expect to see that in these ARCA cars, though, at Talladega this week, as Bartlett still continues to lead the charge. I think he has been one of the most consistent drivers all race long. Him and Castleberry have been the 2 drivers that have been holding the race lead on both lines for the longest period throughout either line so far throughout the course of this race. And if they can get a good round of pit stops as well, that is going to only help things as they go deeper and deeper into this race. And speaking of that outside lane, it is going to pose a bit of a problem when pit stops come around, right? Because you do not want to be trapped on the outside lane if you need to come down to pit row. When that pit window cycles through, that inside lane is all where you're going to want to be as we ride on board with J.R. Miller.
Yeah, absolutely. Pit stops are going to be imperative for this car. We saw some guys trying to practice, green flag pit stops. They weren't working out too well for them. So that's going to be something we need to keep our eye on. But I want to touch on something you touched on a minute ago. The 21 of Castleberry, the 25 of Bartlett, and how they've been up front. I want you to watch these guys, and as we go around the track with them, this is a great shot too. Look at how stable their line is. They're not doing a whole lot of moving around. They're not going left and right, and trying to catch the car. These guys know how to drive this car. And I'm almost willing to bet you a good amount of money that if we were to check their setup, they've got a very high steering ratio, which means that this car direction changes are a lot smoother and less twitchier. That's a great shot.
And now you can see down the back straightaway, just up the road and very much looming, that is Joshua McKinney in his number 8 car, who is starting to, he had lost the draft some time ago and is now starting to slip further and further back into the clutches of your race leaders. He lost that draft. This honestly happened quite a long time ago, right? I mean, we're talking all the way back. I believe this was the 9th lap of the race, and I believe this was right around when Meza had his major incident, and he got sent all the way to the back, lost the draft, and he's only been falling back since then. And it took this field almost 10 laps to get him, and now they're all pleading with him to just go to the outside line to let them all pass. And I have to say, I think of all the cars on a super speedway to catch lap traffic in, with these art cars, it has to be the most terrifying. He's going to opt to go onto the apron instead, which on a straightaway is admittedly a bit of a safer spot to let lead lap traffic through.
Yeah, but it's not going to work out going down here to the turn like this. His best bet would be just stay on the outside, because now he's got to try and hold a car that's doing 160, 175 miles an hour down on that apron and doesn't swing up back into traffic. And that's really hard to do, but it looks like he did it. Congratulations, McKinney. You didn't wind up the field.
He didn't LePage them, so to speak.
Exactly. I was going to say it, but I didn't want to drop that name out there, man. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, everybody's
I
well
saw that
aware of
happen
that
live, Nolan. I saw that happen live, and I'm like the guys that it happened to. I could not believe what I was seeing when that happened. That was just unbelievable.
Admittedly, very different circumstances, but still a good meme nonetheless. Outside line making a charge, and now how about this? Looking almost 3 wide with Adam Newbert trying to open it up. Didn't work out for him, but it is going to put James Moore on the outside line. Meanwhile, Kilgore backs out. Thompson trying to get a bit of a run as well. What on earth is going on here? Everybody's starting to slice and dice everywhere throughout this field as you look on the back of Torrey Thompson now in the race lead, took it away from Victor Bartlett and all of the chaos. He's now in the race lead, and now he'll try to see if he can use that mind game of a paint job on Victor Bartlett to keep that lead for as long as possible.
Bartlett's probably trying to figure out what in the heck he's looking at right now. As we look back on Bartlett's car from the back end of Thompson's car, that's Tim Richmond, Folger's paint job right there. Of a tribute car right there. That's a good-looking paint scheme. And you can tell that Bartlett got the right Impala. He picked that paint scheme. Look at that. A little bit of a bump saying, hey, man, I'm back here. How you doing?
That's a bold play, right? It's very bold to get on somebody's bumper that close when you know that your front bumper could easily pick their rear bumper off the ground. And, well, let's face it, we all know what will be happening from there. Victor Bartlett not very much deterred when he's second on the inside line. That gives the charge on the outside to J.R. Miller, who in his Oakley Monte Carlo is starting to push his way to the front over an American, just in front of an American Woodmark driver of Adam Newbert, tucked just in behind in his very white number 4 machine. And that outside line making a lot of headway now. It seems like a lot of drivers all of a sudden want to be at the front of this race.
Well, they all just saw what Thompson did. He made a charge on the outside, and once he got around Bartlett and cleared him, he jumped down to that lead, which you'll see a lot of sometimes. There's really no friendship on plate track racing, Nolan. You might push me to the lead, but I'm going to ditch you for that inside line first chance I get. And Thompson just made a big mistake right here. He was thinking about going up and blocking that outside. Oh, gosh, we got contact. We got cars out of shape. One car up high in the wall, that's Meza, but they save it. I cannot believe we didn't have it, but Meza's bad up in the wall right there. But, oh, my God. That was insane
Nicholas
right
Sacco.
there.
Sacco just went full send or no send through the middle of that one, and it all kicked off when Rhett Tucker got into Clinton Castlebear, and I hope we can get another angle of that with a few onboards, because my goodness, that was probably one of the most intense moments you're going to see on any super speedway race, and somehow we keep it all sorted, but that is very much split apart the field up in front. We're going to take a look at your poppers replay on the mess that just took place in the front straightaway. Look at the 37, already outside wall, and this all kicked off right out of turn 4, and we're going to watch this one coming all the way from the backstretch, and we'll see how it develops. Watch that blue and black car up in front. That's where all of this kicks off, and see that black 29 car right behind a couple of cars back with the 37. We keep one eye on him as well, because he's the one that went and quite literally about as close as you can to wrecking one of these ARCA cars without actually wrecking it.
This is the most incredible feat of saving a race car I think I've seen in a while. Watch this right here, folks. Now, it starts right there up front, and that contact, everybody starts checking up, and it's just a rubber band effect right there. And Mesa, I think, got the worst out of that. He hit that outside wall pretty hard there, Nolan.
Hit it pretty hard, but the good news is still kept it on the racetrack and out of everybody else. He has lost the draft, but the caution comes out. It's not over for him. How about James Morris going to go to the race lead up in front? He's going to overtake Adam Newber, who had already cleared for the lead. And all of this while the 94 McGonigal still trying to open up an outside line, but not having very much success in doing so. Now, Hunter Parsons leads the train for the bottom as Morris on the yellow line entering turn one. That's going to stack up the inside line and give all the speed and room Hunter Parsons needs to take the lead away into his Hobbytown machine.
I don't think he's going to duck down like we've seen other guys do. He's going to stick with those guys up in the middle lane right there, in that middle lane. And, oh, we got so, there he goes. He's down the inside. You saw that. The 9 car thought about jumping down in there and almost got himself a little bit of a bumper there. But, my goodness, Nolan, things are heating up right now. And I'm wondering if this can't be a result of these guys knowing that they got to make pit stops soon. They're trying to get themselves all in a position to get that pit stop done. And maybe that's what all this slicing and dicing is all about.
You talk about how guys are close to pit stops. Well, Torrey Thompson, Christopher Blanchard, Jeremy Cranley, who've seen just the back end of the shop, they have all come down to pit road. This time as Chris Cinnamon is put a lap down in his Goodwrench number 3 machine. The pit window is open right around that lap 30 mark, just like we expected. And now we start to see the scramble of drivers trying to get to that inside lane. You have to come down with the drafting partner. That's going to be a point we're going to be coming to again and again. Tucker abandons McGonigal on the top side, and that could prove crucial. McGonigal has to come down. He's just called, he's pitting in, and he's on the outside lane. This is going to get a bit dicey up here if he really tries to come in. No room, he's forced to stay up high. Meanwhile, about half of the leading pack all comes in together. You're looking at Castleberry, who's into the grass. Castleberry's overshot pit road, gets into the grass, he saves it. But ultimately is Bartlett, Kilgore, Morris, Roger, and Adam Newber all down to pit road at the same time. And the 23 into the pit wall, so is the 47. Everyone's messing up pit road.
Oh, wow. What is going on here? We have to keep our eyes on Castleberry, Nolan. That's usually a penalty when you go out into the grass like that and then come back on pit road. We'll see how it works out for him. But, man, we got guys in the grass. We got guys in the pit wall. Maybe they weren't quite ready to come to the pit like they thought they were.
Castleberry's in there for a long time. That is most certainly a penalty for Clinton Castleberry. And here comes the rest of the field, all scrambling, come down pit road. Huge look for Parsons. Tucker's in too deep, and Tucker's also
there's no one. He's going to get a penalty. That's McGonigal. He's going to be sitting in pit road for a little while. He'll join Castleberry on pit road for a penalty. I mean, he didn't just hit the grass. He killed the commitment cone, and they don't like that in NASCAR. You can't be running their commitment cone over.
Everyone's in the pit road. This time, nobody claps the pit wall on the way in as McKinney's coming in.
Oh, but McGonigal's sliding through the pit stop.
Just that insult to injury, right? He's already got a stop and hold penalty he's going to have to serve. And tell you what, this is just falling apart for a lot of your top runners here, especially on the first round of pit stops on the day. This is why, when it comes to plate tracks, I don't say this too often, but I think this is a very good time to mention it. When it comes to plate tracks like this, practicing pit entry in a pack is about one of the most important things you can ever do in the way of practicing for one of these races, as that's a huge slide onto pit road. And who was that coming on in? I believe that was Taylor Peacock, sliding on in from the race lead.
He was trying to get that car woed down, and we'll see if he gets a penalty. Yeah, Cody. But, you know, we talked about this, Nolan. We thought that it was going to be the bum drafting that bit these guys on track and really gave them issues. But it turns out it was trying to make their green flag pit stops. Who'd have thunk it?
And now Derek Fulton in the race lead. He's already come down to pit, but he is by himself. And actually, check that. I don't know. Derek Fulton has not come down to pit road. I was looking at the wrong driver there. So Fulton yet to pit. He's coming in now. But he's all by himself. He's been out there for over a lap now. This is going to be absolutely disastrous for Fulton and his buddy project number 7. And By the way, want to give a huge shout out to the Buddy Project, proud sponsor of the North American Sim Racing Association, as well as Butt Kicker. Both of those companies helping to keep the lights on here. It's Fulton into pit road and Taylor Peacock out of pit road. He's got the likes of Rhett Tucker and Hunter Parks close enough behind him. They're all the way on the back straightaway, though. Fulton, I think, might have shot himself in the foot here if he's hoping for a race win. He might have to hope for a caution now.
Well, let's see how this works out. I mean, if he doesn't take tires and just goes with fuel only, he might be able to. No, he's not going to be able to. I don't know what I'm saying here. I'm that guy that's always hoped that it works out for the underdog. But yeah, Fulton shot himself in the foot. Yeah, he's still on pit road. He might have got a speeding penalty. I mean, he came in there really, really hot.
True. Very true. Pit road speed,
and he's in there
is worth noting,
35.
is... The pit road speed is 55
60?
miles an hour.
Oh, it's 55, okay.
No, 55, and he hit pit road going 68. So to say that's a speeding penalty, I think, is a very safe bet.
Yeah, that'll be the one where he's got to go see the judge. Oh my goodness, that's really unfortunate. So that's going to put him at least one lap down. If he comes out without the draft, it'll wind up being 2 laps down for sure. So you know, that's what happens. But you know, man, I'm still in shock, Nolan, over the craziness we just saw with that green flag pit stop, and they're gonna have to do this again. But now they're all spread out, so maybe it won't be quite so bad the next time.
Pit road, man, it can be a very, very wild place when it comes to super speedway racing. So looking at your field for the time being, you've got about the top 6 or so all tucked in a line here, plus Torrey Thompson, lap car up on the top side. There is about a 7-car train just in behind, made up of all lead lap cars. You see them just at the tail of the shot. They are single file, and they are starting to rapidly catch up. So we're going to be having ourselves about a 13-car strong lead grouping, which, considering we have a 20-car field, very, very good for a plate race. Overall, a lot of drivers did good to get in and off of pit road.
If there is a caution, that's a big if, I guess, but if there is right now, Torrey Thompson stands to be the recipient of the lucky dog if he's not part of the caution. Right now, he's the only car 1 lap down. Castleberry's up there somewhere in front of these guys, him and McGronigle, Fulton. They're not too far ahead of this group, but right now, as it stands, Torrey Thompson will be the lucky dog should the yellow come out.
How about one driver dipping down and low, wanting out? Chris Cinnamon bailing out from the inside line. Just wanted to tuck around at the edge of the draft. Some guys not want to sit around, though. The likes of J.R. Miller, Christopher Blanchard, as well as Thompson and Victor Bartlett. Those 4 drivers starting to mount a charge with the outside line, and that's going to put J.R. Miller back to the race lead in his Oakley Chevrolet Impala down the front straightaway, with Christopher Blanchard just in behind in Blanchard's towing Impala as he tries to push his way through. The 78 car clear for the lead. He is going to take Blanchard with, though, and they're both going to look to maybe drop down in front of your race leader of the 99 of Rhett Tucker, but still not clear for the 13.
Crandall and 25 of Bartlett had a moment there. Looked like they were going to just wipe each other out. I didn't see exactly how it started, but now we see that both those guys are going to jump up high. Oh! And are we really going to take it 3 wide here? We are going to take it 3 wide for the lead.
13 car of Blanchard tried to cover Crandall off. Crandall was not having any of it, though, powering through around the outside line, and he's going to take Victor Bartlett with him, and with Miller to the inside. That is abandoned Blanchard on the outside line. He is going to have a very good faith Torrey Thompson, though, who is going to let him in. So Torrey Thompson giving Christopher Blanchard a huge break that are cutting to the inside line in order to not lose more time. He'll sit third for the time being, and all of that will stall the run that the only 2-car strong outside row once had.
I'll tell you what, this has just been moment after moment of what the heck is going on. And as you see way up there going through 3 and 4 now is that pack of cars we talked about a minute ago. That's going to be McGronigle, Mesa, Castleberry, Fulton, those guys trying to stay ahead of this lead pack right here and keep themselves at least at the tail end of the lead lap.
And as we get set to hit the halfway point, it will be 40 down, 40 to go. Still green flag racing from Talladega for the 6th round of the North American Sim Racing Association. And with still one more round of pit stops expected within about 20 laps or so, let's take a quick step away for a commercial break. We'll be back with you with the second half of tonight's presentation in just a few minutes.
An automobile purchase shouldn't be hard. The hardest part for the consumer in the whole process should be selecting the vehicle. We have the online credit application. We can bring the car to you to see it, to test drive it, to deliver it. We have all the tools in place, and we've had them in place for a long time. I just think now we've perfected it. It's become part of our culture. We've, kind of taken it to the next level. It is easy, and it should be easy, and it should be fun, and it shouldn't take a whole lot of time.
This is our series,
So many different pieces that you have to watch out for.
where the stakes are always higher,
$300,000.
where virtual meets reality,
How bad do you want it? They're wasting no time getting at it.
where the best thrive and the flawless win. This is the NASRA Coca-Cola iRacing Series.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Welcome back to the North American Sim Racing Association, still green flag. Victor Bartlett dropping back on the top side. I think a brief moment to go top to bottom and how your field has been looking so far throughout tonight's 20-lap presentation. At the moment, right up in the front of this lead is J.R. Miller with Tucker second. Blanchard is third. Corey Thompson sits in 19th position, one lap down, fourth in this lead train. Kilgore, I believe, just took the fifth position away, and that puts Crandall down to fifth. Parsons is sixth, Peacock seventh, Sacco eighth, Newbert is ninth. Victor Bartlett rounding out your top 10 with Darren Halliman in 11th, with Chris Cinnamon 12th, Nathan Roger is in 13th, James D. Morris is 14th. It's Fulton, McGonigal, Meza, Castleberry, all mixing it up with the leaders at the moment. Up in front as we take it 3 wide, Thompson McKinney no longer the only drivers, 1 and 2 laps down. Top shelf, it's J.R. Miller trying to get clear of lap traffic. It's going to get hairy, though. 3 wide everywhere you look. Forget about 4. There's J.R. Miller powering through around the top side. And all those 4 cars on the inside of the top 2 rows, those are all lap cars trying to stay on the lead lap while the leaders try to dice their way through.
My goodness, Nolan, watching these lead lap cars battle with the lap down cars and each other is just breathtaking, and we haven't watered them up. Look at this, 3 wide, 3 cars, 3 rows deep. Oh, here we go. Speaking of watering them up, here we go. This is going to be a wreck. It's definitely going to be a caution out, and
it's
my
the big one.
goodness, that was not what we wanted to see right there.
All right, well, that is that. Then our green flag run comes to an end, and it all kicked off. Top 2 on the outside line. We're going to look at the both poppers replay, and what did I tell you? That front bumper can pick up the rear lightning quick, and that's what exactly happened to J.R. Miller when he got his bumper pushed out. That sent him into the wall. Rhett Tucker then got pushed down by Castleberry into the 6 as well as 13, and that turned the 8 of Joshua McKinney. Lap down traffic right in the middle of the field. All in all, collecting about 7 or 8 different cars in this one.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. But what I did notice, though, Nolan, is there wasn't a lot of substantial damage to any of these cars. These guys with a 2-minute, 10-second lap time under caution should be able to get in, get the tires put on, get the damage fixed, get the hammers to it, beat those corners out a little bit like you see on the 78 right there. The left rear corner did it in pretty good. He's going to need to get that fixed because that's going to cause a lot of draft issues for him. But so that's the good news. These guys are still driving, still going down the road and turning left a little bit there.
Well, we knew it was going to happen eventually, right?
Yeah.
We knew this was only a matter of time before something like this happened. It's just such a shame he couldn't have gone green to the end with this. I mean, we did make it over halfway, though. And this is great news for that second train with the likes of Fulton, Morris, McGonigal, and more, who are all just trying to play catch with the back of the field, right? The guys that got stop-and-hole penalties as a result of botched pit entries. This is their saving grace, as we're going to see a lot of drivers come down pit road. Now this opens up pit strategies a lot. Because remember, it was about 30 to 35 was about our range for pit stops. We're 35 laps to go now. Do you think these guys can make it to the end on fuel? I think they probably can.
Maybe one or two of them, to be honest with you. But I'm thinking the guys that have been up front the most with the pedal down all the way, it's going to be cutting it close. It's going to depend really, Nolan, on when we go back to green. Like you said, we got 35 to go right here. You're going to have at least 2, maybe 3 more laps under caution. It's possible. I think they possibly can go all the way. It's just going to depend on how hard they drive these cars, I guess, right? And hey, who knows? They may just, a lot of these guys, if they're smart, could duck in with 1 to go on the caution and top off that take, and that'll definitely put them good to go.
I'll tell you what, there is nothing more exciting than super speedway racing than when you combine it with fuel mileage. Because it's not like a track like Atlanta or Chicagoland even, right? Where you just lift and coast into the corners, or even an auto club in these cars, you can do that. And no, sir, even in these cars, this track, you're foot to the floor the whole way.
You're Canadian, so I'm having a hard time telling if you were being sarcastic there, buddy.
Oh, no, I'm being dead serious. I mean, fuel mileage racing has got to be by far one of the most exciting forms of racing that there is. Because any moment, just the fear that you know somebody could run out of fuel, especially if it happens and you haven't hit the checker yet in a pack this tightly condensed, is absolutely unbelievable.
I'm just thinking in the back of my head as you're saying that, of all the people I've ever heard complain about fuel mileage races, oh, this is boring, I'm falling asleep over here. And we got Nolan, the king of positivity. That's exciting, man. What if that guy in the front runs out of fuel and everybody behind him runs him over? That's a great way to look at it. And it's true. I mean, I've never actually considered it like that, you know. And then we got a car really slow back there on the apron. I'd like to see who that is, because it looks like he got a stop, not stop and go, but a EOL penalty there. That might have been our lucky dog. I can't tell.
That's McKinney, who is 2 down, so definitely not the lucky dog recipient, but among one of those drivers that I'd imagine is saving fuel for the timing, which is why he's down on the apron.
Yeah, clutching it
in. Coming in to top up. Here comes everyone.
Yep. Everyone except those 2 in front who think they might be able to pull this off. But these guys are all doing the smart thing. On super speedway racing, Nolan, you want to be smart, not lucky. Does that make sense? Don't leave anything to chance, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, you have to keep in mind as well that not only is our fuel mileage races, entertaining, especially if the guy runs out of fuel, but you have to also keep in mind that it is dramatic as well. Remember, back in 2016 at the Le Mans 24 Hours, when I think it was one of the Toyota LMP ones, it was either a loss of power issue or an actual running out of fuel issue for that machine, but that caused them to lose the race after being in the lead by 90 seconds with only 1 lap to go after 23 hours and 57 minutes.
Ouch.
It can be some of the most it can lead to some of the most dramatic moments in the history of motorsports.
Well, here I'm gonna do you one from my side of the tracks where we don't watch road racing for fun. Dale Jr., what was it, 2012, 13, somewhere in there, led the majority of the race in Kansas. Yeah, it might have been 14. Led a lot of laps in that race. It was been a while since he was in victory lane. Coming out of turn 4 on the last lap, looking at the checkered flag, and he runs out of fuel, and Kevin Harvick takes the win. So you're right.
Didn't that happen again at Charlotte?
Yes, it did for the 600, I believe.
Yeah, it was. That was Ryan Newman, though. I believe that took it, wasn't it?
I'm trying to think. You're asking an old guy to remember shit that didn't happen last week. Stuff.
It was.
Or my language.
It was either.
I think you're right. I think it was Newman
or Jeff Burton. It was one of the two.
and it's painful. I mean, that's as the driver that happens to, man, that is one of the and infuriating things that you can have happen to you, especially when your car is as dominant and fast as it was. And to have that happen is just, it's infuriating, depressing, upsetting, all those emotions.
And how about this? Kilgore with a very early launch.
It's legal,
right? 130 miles an hour. It is, but when have you seen something like this?
When a guy is desperate to get a first win, maybe?
Well, I mean,
look at how it's strung out the field. Wow.
And that can either be very good or who you are, right? Because if you're the likes of Derek Kilgore, that could end up coming to bite you, right? Because we usually talk about how you don't, because it allows the field to get a huge run up on you. But look how many guys that might have lost the draft and now could have moved to the top side to fade back.
I'm wondering if he didn't get black flag for that. And that might be the admin giving him a black flag. Is anybody able to confirm that?
No black flag. He's just falling in the back by himself.
Well, that's energy then to do something that intense and insane. Fade to the back. I don't know, man.
Actually, I think I know what he's trying to do. I think he wanted to go to the back from the very beginning, right? Because you talked about it before. To make sure you go to the end, you need to be one of these guys behind that's following and save fuel. Yeah. This means he doesn't have a whole train on his outside line. He's just got really one guy he's going to have to worry about. So he can jump to the top right away and fade to the back. That was strategic.
Yeah, that's, that could be the way he was thinking. Or he just had one too many Coors Lights.
He's had enough to have it on the hood of his car, clearly, so who knows? I mean, and if he ends up winning this race, I can tell you right now, that's going to be one of the questions we're going to have to ask him if he finishes up in the top three. Bartlett trying to push us. Looking to up to second. All by himself with no help. Now making an outside line of Rhett Tucker to the point. Is lonesome up on the top side. Derek Kilgore might think about helping him, but looks like he's going to try to open up a line of his own. James D. Morris still thinking about where his for the time being in this one, as we're about to hit left to go. Technical problems for Mr. Mustang Jr. I'll keep you guys entertained though for the meantime. Don't you? Nice-hearted Canadian to help keep the mood light here. Speedway. Then you see on the bottom lane, Adam Newbert exiting pit road after he had to come down. He now finds himself 3 laps down, and that looks like it could be more by the end of this race. Bartlett still running by himself up on the top shelf. Line of the inside line, kind of weaving a little bit left and right where he wants to go. You can see Jeremy Crandall doing the same, and now Morris thinking about going way to the top side, opening up turn number 3, and all while second place, clipping the apron. That's a bull move for the 47 Pumpers machine, but it's not going to do anything to help either driver. Side draft, going to go and pull both 25 and the 47 back. How about Rhett Tucker jumping to the outside line, wanting to help out Bartlett. That's going to allow J.R. Miller to go back to the race. We're this time where nobody wants to lead, right? Because, I mean, you got yourself. But we were still 33 to go when this race went green, and we weren't completely sure if drivers on the fuel run. So who knows what time as James D. Morris starts to run around the outside line, and he's going to try to open up that third lane by himself, passing up McGronigle now in his number 94 machine as McGronigle thinks about jumping. And once again, Rhett Tucker clears for the race lead.
Rhett Tucker clears for the race lead. I apologize there, Nolan, if I've stepped on you a couple of times. I'm having some internet issues here back at Las Pistas. Great race the lead, I should say, going on up front between the outside. And we've got, three their way up into it.
This, the 47 car starts to slip a little bit further back to drop down the field, and Andrew McGronigle running the middle line with J.R. Miller on the bottom, 3 wide. He laps to go. McGronigle's getting close, and all out across the nose of J.R. Miller. Holy cow, it's all starting to kick off as Cinnamon doesn't know where he wants to go, but he ends up tucking in behind Victor Bartlett. And now, look at McGronigle trying to side draft aggressively to get back up in front and lead this race.
Aggressive is one way to put it. That was a move right there. Very hard to tell there in one piece. Now, you see a lot of back behind this pack. Those guys are lifting so they don't actually make contact with the turns.
And down the front straightaway into the tri-oval once again on lap 54 out of 80, and McGronigle still working up into the race lead and trying to see if he can potentially have anything for your race leaders in front. John leave us once again, sadly, and now here is James Morris thinking about going up the middle, making it 3 wide. McGronigle covers off the line. This is going to look at the 47 car pushing to the outside line once again, thinking about 3 abreast. But so far, not able to really make a move. As watched a number. Fulton thinking about seeing if he can help McGronigle up in front. McGronigle still working that top side with Fulton in behind. Bartlett on the low side, and now Bartlett loses the race lead. Now, does McGronigle help Fulton clear with him, or is he just going to abandon him? He's going to ditch him on the top side. Jumps in front of Victor Bartlett into turn number 3. And that will leave Fulton to have to sort himself out with one James D. Morris just in behind. Bartlett now jumping to the top shelf. He wants to get back in the lead of the around the outside. McGronigle not on the bottom. Bartlett continues to push that 25 Folgers machine around the outside. Is more than in line. You can see the 3 car. Chris Cinnamon thought about trying to side drive it out. The middle now, as Rhett Tucker goes up the inside. He'll go to second now in the Malware Bike 99 Impala. McGronigle is now going to have to try to do everything to hold on in front, but there's not a whole lot you can do when you have the likes of Cinnamon and Bartlett wanting to make a move and clear as the good wrench number outside lane, but not able to clear up. And all of this, well, the main pack starting to dwindle a little bit. We're down to just 12 drivers now in this leading pack, but all 20 still on the racetrack. Bartlett and Cinnamon both trying to get clear. Cinnamon is clear, trying to pull Bartlett with them. Because he didn't jump down, he will immediately lose the lead to McGronigle on the bottom side. McGronigle Still working that bottom lane. Oh, that time clipping that yellow line on entry to turn number 1. You have to be very careful about that. We've seen a few times already. Drivers get very, very unsettled by that. And we're going to have to continue to wait and hope that somebody doesn't make that very fatal error of getting too low down on that yellow line when you're entering a corner and cause a chain reaction that stacks up the field.
That's right, Nolan. We've seen it.
Fulton. Oh, no, go ahead. Didn't realize you were back.
I didn't. Yeah. We saw that earlier with Mesa, if you recall, back on, I think, lap 10, 15, somewhere in there. A little bit below that yellow line with his left front tire, and it really got him loose and got him out of shape. So you were dead on with that assumption earlier. It's like, man, if you let that line right there, that's about as far as you want to go.
Bronico still holding the race lead, but for how long? All it's going to take is to get properly linked up with each other before they find themselves screaming back up to the race lead. And all of this while we continue to tick the laps away. Slowly but surely, we get ourselves ever closer to the checker flag. And drivers, are going to be keeping an eye on that. F4 laps of fuel they have left. 20 to go this time.
You wanted a fuel race, you got one. It looks like green the way they are right now, being cautious but a little more aggressive. But to see, I think some guys maybe start to lift. Oh, we got a little bit of contact back there between the make-believe car, and I couldn't tell who the other guy was, but it looks like they keep it straight and
Fulton.
green.
It was Derek Fulton in the number 7 car, and well, he just called it out. Remember how how about these drivers were going to have was looking at his field window, wasn't paying attention.
This folks, hamsters that are turning the wheel. But we got a great fight up front for the G and Goodrich that we are very familiar with. Kind of leading a lot of laps at Talladega back in the day.
And well, a development story deeper down in the field. Newbert having some major technical and it's internet issues, just like what is plaguing us at the moment of the race session. Laps down, John. That is the point with to go.
He did the right thing here, Nolan. He played it safe most of the race. Kind of stayed out of trouble as much as he could. And now with less than 20 to go next time by, he's got the lead and right for it, which is just fine with him, I'm sure, as they're going to wait for the laps to dig down before somebody.
McGronigle pushing around the outside line, and he's going to take Rhett Tucker with him. 99 going to try to put around to the race lead. The 90 so long, and now he'll be the one to try to see if he can rip his way around the outside line of all of this while that second training behind, led by J.R. Miller. So Victor Bartlett still looking to work on the inside line. And now McGronigle gets clear just and pushes down in front of Chris Cinnamon to take the race lead away. And Rhett Tucker left all by his lonesome on the outside line. The number 3 car, weeble wobbling everywhere, left, right, and trying to get lined up with the bumper of the 94. So Gronigo holds the outside, and Rhett Tucker is going to try to come with it. Still having to work by himself, though, John. And I mean, this is where it's going to get crucial. You're just one car stuck on the outside line.
Well, there, Nolan, and he seems to be okay with it because he's hanging up there. I mean, look at him. He's been up there for, what, a lap and a half? All by himself. But if you watch him, he gets down close enough. Right here, he side drafts, which is he's able to keep him. Guys.
And now Rhett Tucker going to continue to try to push around, clear by about half a car, but Gronigo still just holding that inside line. And this is where it gets dicey, right? Because, I mean, you can clear by yourself around the outside line. You really, and I mean really, have to lean on the door. The car's underneath. The car that could be as unstable and as volatile at risk.
Well, that depends on how bad you want the win, too, though, doesn't it? I mean, I'm not sure what Tucker's record here is in the NASRA, but I'm going to do everything I can to take that W. Oh. He's right up against that wall and uses that lack of air, I guess I should say. No. But futile without help, so he's probably going to try and fade back a little. He thought that guy right there was going to help him.
Holy cow!
What? It's like he... But Gronigo, I don't know if he had a problem or what, but he's gone from the lead now all the way back to 6th, it looks like.
Tucking in line by J.R. Miller, and fuel that's on Gronigo's mind. Remember, we still went green at about 32 laps to go. We still were not sure that was enough to make these drivers safe on fuel. Gronigo, I think he's just trying to make sure that he is 100% safe to the end. He's not going to have to come down with 1 to go.
Yeah, and I think, I hope, I believe you're 100% move in the way he kind of took out of Tucker. Maybe that's exactly what he's thinking. He just wants to make sure.
I tell you what, one thing that Castleberry's charge helps is Chris Cinnamon. Because now, in excess fuel, he can just sit in line and let him do all the work in front of him, right? Because now he can just some fuel, and while he's sitting in the draft, it'll be Castleberry that's burning all the fuel, but he's a lap down. So he doesn't have to worry about the 18, or about how this battle could play out. Yet.
Absolutely. It's that at first. Yeah, the lap down car is, yeah. He's got that guy to draft off of. He can kind of ride around about 7, maybe half throttle, and save enough fuel to make it to the end. Whereas those guys on the outside, they're going to have to keep it pedal to the metal just to keep up.
I should note as well that Castleberry not just a lap down, technically on the lead lap, so he was fighting to stay on the lead. Which, of course, means if a caution comes out, he can cycle around and then, once again, take part in this race, win just as much as anybody else. He just has to really, really be careful here. If he gets involved in any way, if another caution comes out, which is more likely with him being way up in front like this, he's not going to get that lucky dog, and he could actually find himself being stuck a lap down for the rest of the race.
That's absolutely correct. You know, unless he if he stays out in front of whoever's leading at that time, even if he gets an incident, he'll still be able to pass up the pace car. But you're right. Gets any kind of an incident rating for it, he's going to lose that opportunity. But I'm really liking the fact that the 3 cars just going to stay tucked in behind like that. On the outside, do all the work. And here we go. I mean, we're coming. This is where it's going to start getting dicey. Look at this. McGraw to the outside. Going to make it 3 wide.
More comp. And for the race lead, Cinnamon on the and the Blue Grays, number 94 is going to continue to on the outside line, but look at how much of a charge the inside line is having now. Are not working together, but surely lose more and more ground in this leading pack.
Yeah, and I don't know what McGraw was. He's going to have some help. All he did right there was lose them some ground to that 3 car that's up in front of him. Now he's going to tuck back in. Hopefully get enough from the draft to get by these two. Hey, look at that.
And so Tucker clears for the race lead with 9 laps to go from Talladega Superspeedway and round 6 of the North American Sim Racing Association. If you guys have liked this race so far, be sure to tune in, because this is the type of racing you can get set to see every week on a Tuesday night, live on LSRTV, your home. As now, for the first time, I can't believe I'm saying this, for the first time all race long, the entire field is single file.
Yeah. And I don't think it's going to last very long. I'm going to be honest with you. We're at 9 to go. As these laps tick down, as we get closer and closer to that white flag lap, I would not be surprised to see 4 wide, maybe even 5 wide coming through the triangles down through turn 1.
Well, I think 5 wide in these cars is a bit of a stretch. And I'm not saying it can't be done. I'm questioning if these guys have the guts to do it.
Is it guts you're looking for, or lack of
common sense?
Common sense, good judgment.
I mean, both really work in that type of situation, don't they?
I've got a great replay for you one day, Nolan. I'll have to dig it out for you. I used to race in an ARCA series called the Noble Racing Series. We had a Talladega race where we finished 7 wide. I kid you not.
Holy cow. How many cars were sideways during all of that?
Just me. The picture's great.
Checks out.
The picture's great. I am the only guy upside down literally coming across the finish line in a 7 wide finish.
Well, hold up. Wheels.
No, sir. No.
Well, you got to show me that.
Yeah, I'm going to have to dig that up, man. It was fun. It was fun, man. Same car, though.
Sounds like it's top 10 highlight worthy.
I'll tell you what,
7
this
laps.
race is good. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, just 7 laps to go when Castleberry once again almost thinking about going back to the race lead. And again, you have to wonder maybe he's working with some of these guys in behind, like Andrew McGronigle, right? Is McGronigle just going to tuck in line with Victor Bartlett? Now, honestly, at this point in time, if I'm Castleberry, I'm fading to the back of this train. You're already one of only 2 cars that's a lap down. You're going to get the lead lap regardless. Just go to the back. Don't bother trying to fight your way back to take the lead lap away. You're going to get the lucky dog anyway. It's not worth the risk, and it's not worth getting everybody mad at you, especially in a Super Speedway series, right? Which means they're not going to want to work with you if you interfere with a battle for the win.
But on the other side of that coin, Nolan, do we know if are his teammate? Because if that's the case, they're going to want him.
And that is, of course, the one thing that I think is a big question mark at the time. I mean, we don't have any of that information, but I will just say this. He's been working an awful lot with McGronigle, particularly over these last 10 laps.
Yes, he has, and that's what I was thinking, too, right there in the back of my mind. Just watching he and McGronigle for the last 4 or 5. Oh, look at that. Wow, I think he got a little bump out of the way by the 23 car, the Kilgore car, and that Coors Light car. It looked
what
like
did I tell you? They don't want him in the way. It's one of the situations where you don't move, you're going to be moved.
That was a really aggressive move, though, you got to admit, by the 23 car.
Aggressive, yes, but at the same time, if you want to go to the race lead with only 6 laps to go, a necessary one.
Yeah, it really could have resulted in some bad news for him and for everybody behind him. Luckily, it didn't. We're still great, and here goes McGronigle back to the outside again.
I've got some trouble brewing here. Torrey Thompson just called it out, pitting in this lap. These drivers not safe to the end on fuel. If Torrey Thompson, who was in a slower train, wasn't, these guys have been burning more fuel than he has. So you have to wonder what this will mean for the battle for the race lead as McGronigle blocks against Kilgore.
You got it. You got it, man. You wanted this fuel mileage excitement. You've got it. Who's going to make it to the end? We've got these guys up front. You said it. They've been battling for 20-some-odd laps ever since that last restart, and last pit stop, I should say. They've been pedal to the metal. They've been hard at it. And here we go. Here goes our first taker down to pit road.
Oh, boy. Pit stops on the 5 to go. These are crucial seconds here, and Bartlett missed the pit entry, got into the grass, but I think just kept it in enough where he wouldn't get a black flag for it. So once again, the looming question mark. Now, Bartlett was a bit of a no-brainer at this point in time, right, John? Because he was running up in the lead for a majority of this run. Guys behind with the likes of Cinnamon, Sacco, Morris, and more, they've more than just been riding around and saving a bit of fuel. So how many of these drivers do you think are still able to make it to the end? Because this is about to get, I'm just going to say right now, this is about to get absolutely maddening.
I think that out of all the guys we're looking at right here in this shot in the screen, here we go.
There goes the leader.
Yes, the leader down on the pit road. When Cinnamon may be the only guy, or maybe even McGonigal, those two guys right there, possibly the only ones that go all the way behind everybody, lifting, throttling back a little bit, riding. Oh, look at that side.
And how about McGonigal going to return the favor down? This is the type of racing I like to see at super speedways, right? It's hard, fast-paced, and boy, they're not just to look at, but imagine what it must be like. McGonigal falling back. Cinnamon's just called that he can't make it on fuel, so he'll be in this time by. McGonigal shut. Taylor Peacock just barely finds a hole to get in. Else is going with him, so it's 2 laps to go, and we're still 10 cars.
29 of Sacco. I don't know if he's going to gamble with this. Whoa! Whoa! Look at McGonigal. Wow, what a move. That man uses a wheelbarrow to walk around, if you understand what I'm saying.
Now that is how you assert your dominance at a super speedway. That's a power move right there. But Taylor Peacock looking to try to go with them. And we're going to be coming to 1 lap to go. The 94 car giving a shove. Taylor Peacock not afraid to use the bumper if he has to, as we're getting ready to take that white flag.
Getting ready for that white flag. Are we going to see this thing go to the green all the way? Or is somebody going to make a mistake?
McGonigal's out. He's out of fuel. And he's having to come in. And he's realizing, will this be a caution? There's one hard to the inside wall. Is there a yellow flag? This race, they just seem to make it about 204 feet. And then they're in. 1 to go. And your leaders are on fumes.
Indeed, I can hear it choking from here. 1 to go. It looks to me, it visibly looks, has throttled back a little bit, slowed that car down, trying to make sure he gets to the end. On the outside, he's got a challenge. Insane. Oh, we got a wreck.
Get back straight away. They managed to shove it 3-4 wide down the back straightaway.
Oh, he turns him.
Gonna dump the 29, and the 29 gonna take up. Your new race leader out of turn. Enough. Morris wrecks through turn 3 and 4. We're down to just 2 cars. Still is a charge. He still has room if he wants to. That number 78 gonna throw. They're almost hit for the lead, and J.R. Miller steals it on the stripe.
Oh my God! You caught the show, Nolan. You said it. The guy who's leading coming out of 4 is rarely the guy that crosses the finish line first. We saw, man, the 78 car of Miller with a power move on the outside. I just can't get over the excitement. Everything that happened in his last lap. Nolan, I need my my breathing machine. I'll be right back.
And guess what? Your race leader, J.R. out of fuel. Half a lap out. Oh my God.
It was by far one of the best finishes I've seen in a long time for the ARCA cars.
Sort of thing if you tried. You can't plan that. That is all stuff that just... And Miller out of fuel, now coasting. If there was an 81 lap race. Oh, boy. To the last out of fuel, not willing to bail out. I'm at a loss for words. What an insane finish from the Talladega Super Speedway. It's like and by just 29 thousandths of a second, J.R. Miller takes a race victory over Jeremy Crandall. Jerry Fulton is down in third place with Taylor Peacock in fourth. Derek in the fifth position. James Morris wrecked in turn 4 in sixth place with Nicolas Sacco away in seventh. Venture was in ninth, with Chris Sin that wrecked on the back straightaway while fighting for the lead.
Fighting for the lead and probably trying to fight for Victor Bartlett, 25 car. He had a great deal, had to pit. 12th place, Derek Kilgore, 13th. Clinton Castleberry, we saw him fight with the leaders. He was on trying to keep that lap. 14th, Andrew McGonigal, 15th. 16th, Torrey Thompson, 17th, Raul Meza, 18th, Nathan Rose, and Adam Newbert round out your top 20 and the final of the field.
What an absolutely insane finish from the Talladega Super Speedway. That's got about everything that you could possibly ask. And the show still not quite over. There is more discussions we've got to have, and I am very eager to get a chat with all of the drivers involved in this absolutely amazing finish. We'll take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back in a few moments. What an absolutely insane finish for the Talladega Super Speedway. And we've got a lot of drivers we've got to talk to yet before tonight's race is over, particularly your top three. We haven't gotten first place yet. Hopefully we'll get him in just a minute. But for now, we'll pass it down to the second place driver, the driver that just got beat out at the line, currently sitting just shy about where Miller poked the nose ahead. And Jeremy Crandall joins us up at the broadcast booth. And Jeremy, what an absolutely insane final lap of the race. Why don't you walk us through it from start to finish?
There's nowhere to start. Everybody's being really patient. You could tell everybody's being really patient. They pulled the trigger. Some of them pulled the trigger a little bit earlier than I thought they were going to. And then chaos there at the end. And it looked like I was going to be the beneficiary. But somebody had just a little bit better run than I had.
Well, Tom, when you see everybody starting to run out of fuel around you, were you ever at all concerned that you might find yourself in the same boat as them on that final lap?
Oh, that whole run, I got caught up in that little dust up there earlier, so we had a little bit of damage, and we pitted just a little bit earlier, and some of them guys were able to pull down pit road and top off, and I wasn't able to do that. So I was, the whole run, I was nervous. I actually ran out when I come around on the back stretch there after the stripe.
Yeah, so did J.R. Miller, as a matter of fact. Well, it was an overall very entertaining race all the way around, and talk to us about what things are going to be looking like for you in the future. Of course, this type of racing is going to be very commonplace as we get set to go further and further into this season. Do you plan to maybe put that car on victory lane next week?
I love what Michael and the guys have done here. It's good to see these cars being utilized with a great group of guys like this. That whole race was, it should have been exciting to watch. It was pretty exciting to drive. A lot of three-wide battling, real close battling, give and take. Seemed like everybody was on the same page. Everybody was saving together. Everybody was racing together when it was time to race. So all in all, it's great to see this platform, great to see this car. I hope to do some more races. Right now I'm hit and miss with the real world racing. So we'll see how many of these I can make and hopefully let them know I was here.
Well, thank you, Jimmer, for taking the time to join us up here in the booth. Before we let you go, anybody you'd like to shout out for that number 73 car?
Yeah, I got the old Musselman's Rap. It's a car we ran in the Axel Arca series in like 2012, and they were a great help then, and they're still helping Josh out now. So I guess everybody got to see the Musselman's car, so it's good shout out to them. Hopefully put on a good show for them.
And thank you, Jeremy, for taking the time to join us up here tonight. Congratulations on a second place nonetheless.
Thank you.
And, well, that'll move us on down to the third place finisher here tonight. Derek Fulton joins us up here now. And, John, I'll pass this one down to you.
That's right. I'm there with Derek Fulton. And, buddy, I know that up in the booth we were having a hard time catching our breath. What was it like behind the windshield, man? Tell us about your point of view of that finish and what was going through your mind.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Just really exciting. Pretty much the whole race. Got a good draw off the start, so we were up front and just kind of rolled with it up front there, and had a couple real close ones, but was able to keep the fenders on it, and that was really the difference maker. Everybody was really saving on fuel there at the end, so it was just interesting to see what happened with that, and I literally ran out of fuel coming across the line. So
it sounds like pretty much the same issue. They ran out of fuel as soon as across the line there. But were you nervous coming to that point? I mean, at what point did you know that you had it all good to go all the way, or did you know that you had it good to go all the way?
I pushed my teammate there to the lead, and then so he got the lead, and then I kind of just dropped back. And first run I made it at 35 laps, so I looked down and I realized we had almost exactly 35 laps. So at that point I knew I really had to start to stretch it, so I just kind of dropped back and then just kind of hoped it went green. And I think like most people were trying to save fuel too, so it wasn't as chaotic as it probably should have been up near the end, just because everybody was kind of trying to save that extra bit of fuel. And so we saved just enough. Nick almost got turned. Then it was just try to get to the line. And congrats to JR, because it was a fun race, and it was just survival, and that's what these races are all about.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, it was an exciting race to call up in the booth. Nolan wanted a fuel mileage race, and he got that and everything that goes with it. Who do you want to give a shout-out to for your third-place finish there, bud?
Got to give a shout-out to the Buddy Project for helping us out with this league. And got to give a shout-out to Premier Racing Setups for coming on board for Road to Pro for this season. Gnosis Energy Supplements, check them out at gnosis.gg, and octarap.com for.
Well, there you have it, folks. Your third place winner, finisher, Derek Fulton. And, you know, he gives them the shout out to the Buddy Project. Y'all make sure you stop by, give them some love. They've been supporting this league for a while, and they're helping to keep the lights on over here. And that's your third place finisher, Derek Fulton. You want to add to this?
I can't say that I do, only that it was an absolutely thrilling race all the way around. I mean, everything that you could possibly want. It had a couple of spills, plenty of thrills, and it's the type of racing you could always expect to see. That'll wrap up your Finish Line post-race show, and that'll also be a wrap on here at the Talladega 6 here of NASRA. So for those that have been joining us, my name is Ben Rempo with John Musson Jr. in the broadcast.